Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm gonna demo you guys how to build heavy metal tone out of the Boss Tone Studio GT1000. This is for the Boss GT1000, of course. And you guys can see here on the screen what I have here. Right now I have this signal chain. There's a divider here, which you can choose between these amps and distortions pedals below. Or you can go up there, or you can choose both and have a dual rig. Okay, I have my first one chosen up there. There's the input, the effects, compressor, EQ, and another effects. There's the distortion, my amp, and noise suppressor. And then from that point on, everything is kind of turned off. There's no effects, there's no reverb. Only the master out, which is basically the original speaker simulation from the Boss GT1000. Okay. And the amp I'm going to choose on this video is the XI Gain. It's one of those air preamps that comes with the Boss GT1000. And I've dig some here on the internet, and I can see here that I have a lot of describing what these amps do, okay? And there's a lot of them, but the XI Gain says that it's an extension of the MDP, multidimensional processing technology. So this is not essentially what I'm trying to say. This is not essentially trying to recreate any famous amp by itself, but it says it's a thick, high-gain sound which uses multidimensional processing to enhance string separation and dynamic response. So I'm going to use that amp. It's kind of a proprietary thing from Boss, okay? And I'm going to close this for now. Alright, and let's start with that amp, and every knob is at noon. Okay, let's check out how this amp sounds. I'm using my Solar Artist 2.6 amp, I believe it's the name, Trans Red, and really cool guitar with Solar Duncan pickups on the bridge pickup, and the amp X gain. As you guys can see here, there's a lot of controls, including a gain switch, which is in the middle by default, so it sounds like this by itself. Not much gain going on, but I'm not going to add much gain, because in a recording situation, or even in a live situation, if you have two guitar players, you don't have much gain if you do a separate mix, especially on recording, because if you had too much gain on two guitars and you make like double tracking or quad tracking, you're gonna end up with a lot of fizziness, with a lot of bottom hand, with a lot of distortion that necessarily doesn't belong there. So the less distortion you have, the more clear guitars and heaviness you're gonna get on your album, or this is a tip for recording, by the way. So this would probably do the job just by itself with a little bit of EQ, depending on the genre, of course. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna increase the gain on the amp just a little bit, and see what it sounds like right now. Just a little bit more gain. As you guys can see, the gain increases, and we've got some really bottom hand going on here. Not so tight, by the way, but it's really sounding good. So I'm going to try to sculpt my sound from here. So I'm going to mess with the knobs while I'm playing. So I'm going to reduce some mids, increase some treble. You guys will see on the screen, okay? Don't want to take all the mids out, because your guitar will be loose totally in the mix, all right? Presence a little bit higher than normal. I'm going to leave the treble as it is by now, and resonance and sag. Sag is like kind of a compression that it gives to your tone, and resonance will increase the low end. Okay, so I'm going to put the sag at maximum and see what it does. Mess around a little bit with the knob while I'm playing. Sometimes it's good to have some compression on the tone. It's always good, I mean, but in this case I'm going to leave it as it is at noon, because too much will end up muddying up the end result, and too little it's kind of sound of thin. Okay, let's test with the resonance at 10. You guys probably noticed that as I move along the resonance to the left, the high end came again. Okay, so check it out. So I'm gonna leave it at noon as well. It will be my kind of a sweet spot. Now, important, as you guys probably know, is to add up another gain stage at the signal. And then mess a little bit around with the gain on the amp if you need more or less. So ideally, what I use normally here on my signal chain, you got a lot of pedals to choose from, but I'm gonna go with the Tube Screamer because it's the one that sounds best to me. And my phone was just ringing, I'm sorry. Okay, and I'm gonna engage it. I'm gonna take that approach with the drive 0 maximum level, and I'm not gonna mess around with tone on the bottom end because I think it's not needed. So I'm gonna play and then engage it. Much heavier, but I think there's a lot of gain, too much gain going on, so I'm gonna head to the amp and reduce the gain. I'm gonna increase a little bit the treble, see how it sounds, just a little bit. It's probably, right now, if it was in the mix, increase just a little bit the presence, would cut much better right now. Right now, what we need is to fine-tune our tone, right? So we need EQs for that. I've tried already to put EQs before the amp, try to mimic the Pantera sound. That's not the video, this video not about. But the EQs before the amp, in this case of the GT1000 in particular, didn't add up too much to the gain. You know, I tried to boost it, but it didn't behave exactly like in the real world. So I'm going to use the first EQ that's here, okay, and I'm going to do some moves, and guys going to watch it. Normally, what I do is I'm going to round here 500 hertz, 600 hertz, and which is a low mid Q, low mid frequency. And I'm going to decrease a little bit, around 4 to 5, really depends. I'm just guessing right now, and then I'm gonna play it. The low mid Q, you guys already probably know how this works. If it's for the right, you have a bandwidth like this. If it's a digital Q, so it's a very narrow band, and you don't want to do that unless you're trying to get rid of a specific frequency, okay? So if it's to the left, 0.5, as it says there, it's a broader EQ. So that's what I want cutting right now, okay? Low cut, I'm gonna increase it around 50 because you really don't hear and don't need that. And then on the high mid frequency, around 125, I'm gonna increase the high mid gain about 4 decibels. And for now, the high cut is totally flat. Let's see how it sounds. It says engage it first, and then I'm going to engage it. I'm going to engage it now. Okay, some of the body was lost, so I'm going to decrease here the low cut. I'm also going to the amp and increase the bass. This is a series of movements. Movements that you have to do in order to compensate for certain losses, okay? So let's see now. With EQ, without EQ. Now I'm losing a lot of stuff, probably here around 600 range. I'm gonna put just -2 here. without the EQ. Well, I'm still losing bass, so we have to increase here a little bit the bass, the low gain, so it compensates here my +5. Okay, it sounds much better now. I like the way it is. I'm going to the reverb. I'm not using any reverb right now, and I'm gonna use here a room reverb, just a little bit, just to give a little bit of ambience, nothing more, fatten up the tone. Let me check out how it is sounding. Yeah, even less than this, probably around 15 or something. I'm not gonna mess with the pre-delay and the rest of the controls. Also, to have in mind is a nice suppressor. I'm going to increase it a little bit with a faster release, and I'm going to say the input detector where it is. When it's for rhythm tones, you can definitely increase the threshold because you want the gate to close as fast as possible, unlike solo tones, right? Unless you leave a chord ring. Definitely chugs like Mr. Olo Engel says, and this is just one amp, okay? And I'm using, like I said before, the XI gain amp from Boss, and there's not much else to do here in terms of rhythm. If I was going to record the guitar, it would pretty much be done, okay? Of course, everything changes when you change your amp. Probably you'll see that other stomp boxes will sound totally different, overdrives in front of the amp, and the EQ will be totally different as well. So this video is just on this particular model, our preamp called XI gain. And now just a little last tip: if you want to make this from this patch, if you want to make for a solo tone, what I advise you to do, what I usually do, I'm going to engage here another EQ. So this is everything drag and drop, so it's very easy to understand this. I'm going to grab this EQ2, I'm going to put it here, EQ2, and then you can choose between parametric and graphic EQ, okay? Instead of having the sliders, you have these knobs, but it's basically the same thing. I'm going to engage it, and I'm going to increase the level around 250 here, about 4 decibels. Off, on, because around 200 Hertz is where your fundamental solo tone is going to be, okay? This is for a solo tone. If you have, like, you can control this via the control expression buttons on the GT1000 without necessarily changing the bank, okay? I could put here on control expression, I could put here on control 1, instead of the divider, I can put it here, my EQ, okay? So you just have to press one button. And I'm going to increase also the I gain, probably around 8K, around 4 Hertz. without. So it's a much closer and tighter tone for rhythm, and then for solo, it cuts much better through the mix. Also around here I'm going to increase around 1K. Yeah, I think it's an important frequency for the guitar, and I'm going to jump about 2 decibels on the level, overall level, okay? My recording levels are clipping a little bit, so I'm gonna put it on 1. Let's see what happens. Okay, from there I already have my kind of solo tone. I'm going to the effects, obviously, and I'm going to choose a different reverb, like a plate. I'm going to increase the time around 2.2 or 2 seconds. Let's check out. I'm going to increase the effect level as well. Now this is at your taste, of course. I'm going to leave it like this. One thing that's also important is to reduce the threshold on the noise gate. So I'm decreasing the threshold because I want my notes to sustain, unlike the rhythm part. Getting a little bit too soon, because, so this is kind of a compromise. You'll have some noise, but if I disengage it, much worse. Okay, and it's some of this noise you guys hear here is captured by the computer and stuff like that. So you have to deal with that, but you have much more sustain. Okay, well, I'll probably have some delay as well. This is in stereo, my rig right now, so I'll have my master delay, put it here in stereo 1. Let's see. So you have this kind of ping pong effect, but if you don't want that, if you're just going, let me engage another delay 1 for example, just straight delay. Okay, I'm going to decrease the effect level, I'm going to decrease the feedback. Let's check out. It's around 400 milliseconds. Really cool. There's a lot of settings you can do using other type of delays on the master delay, like duck settings. You know, the delay just comes in when you stop playing. That's really neat, really cool. But for now, just a simple delay, high cut. I'm gonna high cut it around 12K. Effect level just the way it is. Here a little bit lower. Okay, so. And now disengaging all this stuff and back to my rhythm tone. Okay. Even without reverb, just to see how it is right now. Okay, so this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this almost small tutorial. Now I've seen it's around 20 minutes or something like that. And this is basically the Boston CD for the GT1000, and that's pretty much about it. You know, you have the expression pedal. It's here on the beginning of the chain. It can be both wah or pedal band, but when it's by default, it's a volume, and if you press it harder, it becomes a wah. It's very handy for solos as well. There's a bunch of other options that you could do here to your rhythm and your solo tone, but I'll stick with this for this video because it's already too long, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and stay tuned for new videos. And check out my website. There's a lot of free stuff right now, like a free pack for the Katana and a free pack for the GT1000. So see you guys soon. Cheers.